Well, my three takeaways were, first, I was grateful that it was a positive speech and that he talked about the need to work together, and he also really hit on all that Illinois has going for it. So I do appreciate the positive tone of the speech. It's important that we never give up on our state. The thing that I had a problem with, though, is the governor really was only telling half the story. There was no mention of the fact that there are still tens of thousands of people that are leaving Illinois. There was no mention of the fact that our pension liability continues to grow, even though we've had this great economic period of growth. There was no mention of the fact that our budget is structurally deficient. I think the governor's own Office of Management and Budget is projecting huge deficits in the future. So, when the governor talked about some of the things that were good about Illinois, he didn't mention the very real challenges that we face. And pointing that out does not make somebody a carnival barker or somebody, overly negative. That just means you're being realistic about future very real challenges that our state of Illinois faces. So I was a little bit disappointed that the governor only told half the story. And then lastly, when he outlined his legislative agenda, he didn't point out anything that was going to really solve the problems that we face in the state. He mentioned the need for ethics reform, but honestly, what he's proposing is window dressing. The reforms that he's proposing would not have stopped any of the alleged criminal offenses that we're looking at. If the governor wants to really do something about our ethics and corruption, what he needs to do is he needs to keep his campaign promise and get behind a fair map. A fair map will do something about corruption because it limits the power that individual elected officials have. They have to answer to their constituents, not just have a permanent safe seat that they're never going to have to campaign for again. So the lack of a legislative agenda that's going to solve Illinois' problems, that was disappointing. The fact that he was only telling half the story, but I do give him props for giving a positive message and talking about how we need to come together.
What do you think it's going to take to get fair maps done?
Well, it wouldn't take much. The governor has the power because he's going to be able to, he's going to have the ability to sign off on whatever map is generated. So if Governor Pritzker simply says, I am going to keep my campaign promise, I am not going to sign anything that is not a fair map, that could really be a reform that gets corruption tackled in Illinois right away. And he has the power to do that. Unfortunately, he did not mention that at all today.